I'm Raul Donato. A lot of people call me Ray for short. I'm the Honorary Consul General of the Philippines.
So the Philippines, that's part of Asia, and I guess I want to understand the difference between sort of culturally when it comes to fashion related to the Philippines and China, Japan. Give the American public a little understanding.
Indeed, well, the Philippines was discovered basically by Ferdinand Magellan in 1521. At that time, as you know, they did not know if the Atlantic Ocean was connected to the Pacific Ocean. So Magellan traveled all the way to South America to find the connecting strait that connects those two bodies of water, and found out that there was a strait that connected the Atlantic and the Pacific. Looking, of course, for the Spice Islands in the Moluccas. That was the oil at that time of the whole world. If you had spices, you were a very wealthy person or country. In the process, he found and discovered the Philippines in 1521. So actually, we already had a connection between Europe and the New World, which was basically Asia. Of course, the Chinese were already in the Philippines long before that, in the 10th century. So the Philippine Islands, which is really an archipelago consisting of about 7,100 islands, was really pivotal in the connection between Asia and Europe. Now, you know, remember the United States at that point was still not the United States. Later on, it came in when the Pilgrims came to colonize America, what we call America. So there's a lot of interaction in terms of fashion, if you want to see it from that point of view, between the East and the West, basically in that particular area.
Can we get a little quiet outside? It's really
I'm hearing that too, yeah. I'm getting a lot of rap.
We get louder and louder.
That's a connection that probably most Americans don't know. So
Exactly.
Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Indeed.
So if you were to compare the fashion here versus fashion throughout Asia and sort of the trends, what are the major differences in your mind?
Well, in my own perspective, the fashion in the United States is really coming in from Europe, which is in Paris, in London mostly, in Rome, in Milan. That's the capital fashion industry of the world, so they say. But remember, we have 6.4 billion people in this earth, and only about 15% are in the Western countries. So the balance of 80 to 85% is in Asia. So now that China, as you know, we have the Beijing Olympics this year, in the summer of this year, is about to come into the picture. There's a lot of fashion that's emerging, coming out from that region, especially from Japan, Korea. Well, by the way, China, you have a lot of textiles that are being imported. So all the fabrics, all the fine fabrics that we use for the fashion industry is really coming from Asia, which is like the Spice Islands, the Moluccas, were being discovered by the Europeans when they were there in the 15th century. So I think what's happening is, instead of spice, textile became a very important factor from Asia, imports from Asia to the Western world. Now I say Western world because that's Europe and the United States. So that fabric was transformed into what we call fabrics, and fabrics became a fashion-related industry. But the influence, I think, of fashion is still coming in from Europe as far as the United States is concerned. However, you will see now a trend that is coming in from Asia, all these new different designs that are coming in, the different colors, the different genetics and DNA of each person that is coming into the picture right now is coming in with a heavy influence from Asia, especially from China, Korea, and Japan, and of course the Philippines.
Well, and to that end, I wish I knew the statistic. You may. We've increased our Asian population here in the United States by a certain percentage just in the last 5 years. Do you know that percentage?
Indeed. From what I know, the Asian population has been increasing at a rate of basically about 2 to 2.5% every year, which is a large increase as far as ethnicity is concerned. Of course, we have the Latin American influx, and then you have the Asian influx. But Asia, on the other side of the Pacific, is coming in faster because basically China is the one that's generating all of this, all of these new things that are happening from Asia being exported to the United States, including fashion, as a matter of fact.
And I don't expect you to be a fashion expert, but from your opinion, would you agree that sort of what's coming from Asia tends to be a little more exotic? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, well, if you look at the history of the United States and if you look at the history of Asia, there's a big difference. I mean, a big, big difference. Asia's history goes from thousands and thousands and thousands of years, probably about 10,000 years. Our history here is very young in the United States. That's why we're so energetic here. We like changes in here quickly. We don't want basically old things. We want to change new things. Asia's culture is very, very old and is very, very normal. It takes time for them to change. Now, in terms of fashion, they have, fortunately or unfortunately, have been viewing the Western culture of new changes. And the mixture of old and new changes is what I think is emerging from Asia for their export or our import of new fashion ideas to the United States, including new colors, vibrant colors. I mean, the color red, which is a Valentine February 14 color, was always the favorite color of the Asians because it showed strong passions, strong love. Culturally, it was a very strong color, and that's being used right now that I can see in the influence here in the U.S. Fashion industry. We have several, we have one very aspiring fashion designer from the Philippines. Her name is Monique Luillier, whose father happens to be my classmate. He was my classmate when we went to school together. She's of French and Philippine descent, and of course some Spanish descent in there, and she's a designer that is very well known here in the United States. We have another one that is based in New York. Her name is Natori, and she's quite famous too here in the United States. So these people have influences that come not only from the Philippines, but from Spain also, and from the Chinese influences that China has injected into the Philippines many, many years ago.
Well, and I don't want to embarrass anyone, but it tends to be a little...
I'm sorry, can somebody just stay out there?
Yes. I only have
Conversations.
like 2 more questions.
It's actually, you can hear over him.
Just a perspective,
Yes.
your culture tends to be more mature about the sexual side of the way one dresses. Would you agree with that? Are you comfortable with talking about that?
Yes, I'm comfortable in talking about that. Yes, indeed. Well, when you dress, I think it symbolizes or it tells you what your personality is. If you are up to date with fashion, you dress accordingly. Now, if you are a conservative person, but you still want to be up to date with fashion, well, you can combine the two things together. And that's what I think a person should be, to keep up with the fashion, the current fashion, but at the same time keep the integrity that you have developed in the many years as you get older on that basis.
I love the fashion because I feel like a woman is allowed to be a woman.
That's right. Well, as they say, the economy is also tied up with fashion. I heard the other day they said that when the skirts are going up, that means the economy is also going up. And vice versa, if the skirts are going down, then the economy is going down. So you can look at the hemlines of what's going up and what's going down, and they say that's an indication of what the economy is going to be.
That's a good tip.
So,
I don't know what the correlation is there.
I know, which I thought was interesting. But it's a good way to observe it, by the way. It's interesting to observe it because maybe there is some truth in it as to how people dress up when the economy is going, is going well, or otherwise it's going down.
It's been delightful.
Thank you.
My hope is that you can help me make connections to these designers, to be honest with you.
It would be a pleasure.
Well,
Yes, indeed.
We'd be honored, and we'll definitely be interviewing you again.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Great first step.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.